Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another cast. Guys, today I have for you a game. It's a game. I am casting for you some TA Escalation epic 2v2 combat. It has been very, very long since I have casted a 2v2, and I miss it. I miss that kind of game style format. 2v2s are sometimes more interesting than 1v1 because there's more going on. You've got twice the number of players, and the dynamic is just completely different. In a 1v1, usually if one person starts to lose, it just snowballs like in every RTS. But in 2v2, your teammate can save you. So I do love a good 2v2 can really bring out the best in Escalation and create some awesome and interesting dynamics for us to watch, and I'm sure that you all want to watch because I haven't uploaded a video in a while, so I do apologize for that, guys. I'm going to try to do better, but hopefully I can make it up to you in this cast. I've heard this is a great game. Now, before we get too much into the game, let me talk a little bit about the map, which is called Scott's Divide. This map is very interesting, as in, I don't know what to say. It's not really like any other map I think I've cast. There was a map originally in TA called the Pass, and it's kind of like the Pass, but essentially there's only one avenue of approach to either side, and that is through the middle. You have these massive, mountainous regions that stop any kind of traversal, except for air. Obviously, you can fly over these. And people often do fly over these. You can build transports and ferry units over, or you can just send bombers and gunships. So, but in the middle of the map, in addition to these small, 300 style passes, you have a ton of trees as well, which get in the way. So it's not so easy to actually get through the middle. And one of the reasons that I don't particularly enjoy playing this map is that usually it feels like the first team that can claim the middle has a huge advantage, because in the middle you have, in the north and south, you've got some mexes and geo spots. So getting access to the middle obviously is going to give your team a huge economic advantage. And as we know from previous casts, having a huge economic advantage is very important, especially in these in the bigger team games. Of course, this is just a 2v2, but still 4 extra metal spots and 2 geos. Nothing to scoff at. But the point is, once you have control of the middle, it becomes very tough to break through, As you can see now, pink and yellow, as they try to send their AKs through, they're just going to run into all of these units, and then if the Eastern team ever gets their act together, they can also start throwing up defenses. I usually send my commander pretty early on into the middle, just because the commander is obviously a great combat unit at the beginning, and you can build light laser towers. I like to build them like in this area, just to thwart the enemy team from aggressing. But it does seem like the Eastern team is really kind of, they've stopped holding the middle. They didn't really push their advantage. I think that might have been a rolling bomb. We so rarely even see those that I sometimes forget they're even in the game. But ARM does have a, let me see if we can find it here. I think, isn't there a crawling bomb? Maybe I'm losing my mind. But yeah, I thought ARM does have like a cheap crawling bomb. That's what that looked like to me. Let me go ahead and introduce the players, because I didn't even get to... yeah, right here. The Invader, the crawling bomb. So he built one of these. I mean, we almost never see these things. But that was an interesting choice. I'd like to see some more. A good crawling bomb might be able to take out hordes of yellow and pink units. But anyways, in the bottom right, we have Green, the son of Gondor. I guess Boromir here. Could be Faramir. Playing as ARM, going K-Bots first. Here in purple, we have Walker as core, K-Bots first. That is the Eastern team. On the west, we have Tasto and pink K-Bots first, also playing core. And finally, in the yellow trunks, we have Deus Ex Machina in yellow with K-Bots first, playing core. So the only ARM player is Son of Gondor. So Tasto already telling his team, make Dragon's Teeth LLT middle. So he understands the nature of the map. You do want to claim control of the middle and hold it. I really like this. I like what Walker's doing here. Bringing some thuds. Thuds are great into this map because there's terrain obstacles and the thuds do shoot at an arc. So the shells traveling over the trees, not getting blocked by these obstacles. You know, the Roccos are okay, but their missiles are going to hit everything. But the thuds are usually going to be much more accurate. Which is kind of ironic because thuds are usually very inaccurate, but in this kind of situation, this is where they thrive. And right now, though, very contested. Neither team has control of the middle. It's surprising. Again, like when I play this map, I just send my commander in there right away because you could just start degunning things. You can start building Dragon's Teeth walls. You can start building light laser towers everywhere. And the commander is very hard to push out at the beginning. And a good counter to commanders early on is Roccos, because the Roccos can just sort of outrange the commander. But with all these trees and stuff, you know, you can just kind of juke and jive, you know, dodgeball style, you know, ducking and weaving and making sure not to get hit by any of those. But, so guys, another great thing on this map, MAKs and Warriors, because these are the short-range Tier 1.5 K-Bot tank style units, and they're great on this map because most of these engagements end up being very short-ranged. I like what the Eastern team has done here. They've cleared out a path, as you can see, for their units, and that will make it much easier to fight and to send reinforcements. Where the Western team, they're still having to walk through all these trees, and that's going to get in the way of any kind of strategy. But one interesting thing about this map, aside from the mid-combat, is that you do... It's a tough decision in terms of what to do after you're beginning K-Bot Lab. You pretty much... I mean, you don't have to go K-Bots, but it's normal to go K-Bots here. They just fare better in this type of scenario. Vehicles just get stuck on the trees and, you know, kited to death. But the real question is, what do you do after you start with your K-Bot Lab? And the map does give you a lot of different options. The easiest option, obviously, the most kind of brain-dead option is just to go T2 K-Bots. And that is, I think, what most players will probably do. Let's see. Yeah, that's what Walker's doing. That's what Pink is doing. But you don't have to go T2 K-Bots. You could also go into air. So aircraft plant is an interesting option because air gives you some interesting things. You can fly units over, like just one or two transports filled with Peewees or AKs. I mean, just think about this. All Pink has to do is fly this over, drop them right here, and he kills all of this. I mean, he just cripples Walker's economy. And you know, players do eventually build these walls of missile turrets, but that's expensive, right? And it typically isn't until later into the game that they have that whole area fortified. So early on, it can work. The aircraft, but you can also build bombers too. You know, you can do bombing runs onto the opponent's eco. Lots of great possibilities. And then once you go into air, T1 air, you can go into T2 air if you want. The thing about the map is, again, it's defensible enough that it provides the possibility to be a little greedier. You know, because you can just build defenses on your side, and it becomes very difficult to break through with just a frontal assault. So going T2 air, it's not unheard of. It's not trolling. Or you can do like what Green is doing here and go a second lab. He's gone into vehicles. So you could always just try to, because the Eastern team has already taken the middle, so maybe they just want to try to overwhelm their opponent. I don't think that's really going to work, though. The Western team has way too much stuff here, and he would probably need. I mean, he's not even using his metal, but he would, for this to work, he would need maybe a third or fourth vehicle plant number of units. So you can stay on T1 and pump out units. It's just tough because the map is generally very defensible and there's a lot of choke points. I do like use of thuds here, but Walker is even telling his teammate to go to T2. Like, he realizes they're never going to break through on T1. It's just not going to happen. And it's just better to get to a higher tier so they can improve their economy. And ooh, it looks like the Western team, they're building up enough of a force that they might actually be able to push the middle back. Neither team has taken advantage of these two pile of resources in the north and south, and that, man, like, when I play this map, that's the first thing I try to do. Like, I try to get my commander in the middle, build up a ton of defense, and then just take the north and south resources immediately, because there's just so much extra metal and energy that you get. But again, neither team really willing to use their commanders like that. Walker he's content to just give the middle up. And I guess that makes sense. He is on T2. He's now pumping out Mortys. This is like the most abusive style that you can play on this map. The Mortys, of course. They're going to outrange everything on T1. And they're really accurate compared to the thuds. And with a longer range and more damage. So this is the cancerous way to play it. You just get to T2, start pumping out millions of thuds and maybe some cans for frontlining. So Walker understands how to play this map. I am very surprised, though, that no one went air. Like, when I play this map, I almost always go air because just that early drop, just dropping, having just a few units go in there and destroy all their eco, and it just really messes them up, And then you're on air, and you can build bombers, you can just build construction planes to assist with your eco and production. But yeah, as you can see, the Mortys and thuds already causing havoc. This is a difficult situation for the Western team because, it's been a very scrappy game, and neither team has really invested much into holding the middle. And that does just go to show that all the different ways you can play this game. I mean, you don't have to go into the middle and just create a tower defense style scenario. But oh my god, this one can. Absolute monster. 4 kills already. 5 kills now, a veteran. Yeah, man, this can, worth its weight in gold, just absolutely shredding through all the T1, and as it gets more veterancy, will become even stronger. So, the poor Western team here, they're in a spot of trouble, I think. I do like that pink is on T2, but yellow, I don't know. Yellow truly just staying on T1 forever. Walker begging his teammate to just reclaim the T1 factories. I mean, at this point, I think those are going to be fairly useless. This can being focused. Walker retreats it, but yeah, overall, the game definitely in the Eastern team's favor. It upsets me a little bit that no one's gone air, because on this map, air it's so good. I mean, there's just so many things you can do with it, especially using the transports to ferry things over, and yeah, that's obviously amazing. The transports are amazing. Bombers can be amazing. Gunships, obviously. I've done casts not even that long ago where gunships just win the game, and just look how close you are, like, in terms of actual distance from your opponent's commander. I mean, it doesn't take much to get a gunship over there. And either snipe a commander or snipe some eco. But the thing about this map that does make it different from a lot of the maps I cast is, like, most of the maps I cast, or most of the games I cast, it's kind of a question of, like, holding as much territory as you can and using as it's like you basically have more resources than you can use most of the time, and that's why I'm always talking about like, oh, the players aren't using their metal, etc. But this map is a little different because you're very limited on metal. Like it's not like you have more than you know what to do with. Your side of the map only has a few spots that you can put mexes. It gives you just enough to, build an army and whatever, but you're not, you're not like spoiled for resources. So, on a map like this, it's very much a battle of who's going to use their resources better. Because neither team has even taken the north and south here, which means they basically are on the same number of metal patches. And it's just a question of how they use them. Right now, the Eastern team doing a better job, but not that much better. I mean, Pink is now on T2, and both Yellow and Green still a little bit behind their teammates, I think. Yellow, he hasn't even started transitioning to T2. It's a little bit sad, but it's also sad to see Yellow just not building an aircraft plant here. Taking some of these MAKs, putting them in a transport, and just dropping them right here. X marks the spot. Drop them and just take all this out and just kill Green. Green finally going into the first aircraft plant of the game. Surprised me that it takes that long. It seems like whenever I play this map, the thing is when you play this map, it's a lot of it is kind of mind games because your opponent always could go air. They don't have to, but they could. And so if you think your opponent's going air, you kind of have to question how many resources to. Again, your resources are limited, so each missile tower is what? Let's see how much metal is. Each missile tower is about 100 metal. So look, already Walker has spent hundreds of metal, thousands of metal against an opponent that hasn't even built air, right? So that's a question that becomes very difficult to answer as a player. Like, how much do you want to invest into air defense in order to protect yourself from a drop that would just, for example, kill Green? I mean, like, any drop at all would just kill Green. And that's difficult, because you could spend thousands of metal into air defense that's completely useless, but it could actually save you the game or win you the game. So maps like this, I think, not building air is almost like trolling because even having scouts, like even if you don't use your air at all for offensively, you could just build scouts and see what your opponent's doing. They'd be able to see that Yellow is still on T1, finally going in aircraft plant. They'd be able to see that Tasto, he's just pumping out Mortys for the moment. But having access to that information, knowing what your opponent's doing, is so valuable. And, I've even had situations on a map like this where I just build a scout just to scare them. I just send it over to see what they're doing and force them to commit into a bunch of air defense. And then I'm not really going to use it for that purpose. So, but once your opponent knows you have air, they have to respond. But yeah, still the game very close. Lots of Mortys. Green finally building some air constructors. And I'd like to see more cans here. That one can did so much by itself, and cans are obviously just amazing on T1, against T1. They have so much health and damage. And their range is pretty significant too. The disadvantage of the can is usually that it's slow. But this map isn't that big, so their speed isn't really that much of an issue. If you get enough cans, that can be sort of game-ending. Green building some tossers. The tosser, the Tier 1 artillery vehicle that is kind of an escalation special that was not in the original game, but tossers can be good, usually only against stationary targets, but really the Western team doesn't have that much defense here. It's just a few light laser towers. But building some Dominators, I think Dominator's very good in this situation. Very scrappy, kind of skirmishing bot, and can have a great impact on the outcome here. See Walker already telling his teammate to build scouts and just send them over for line of sight. I mean, that is such a great strategy on a map like this where, knowing is everything. It's, the opponent is very limited in terms of what they can do. So as long as you are aware of what they're doing, you can counter it. But again, it does surprise me that it took this long to even get into the air. I think usually on a map like this, I go air second. You could go air first. Like, air first on a map like this is not... It's not trolling. You'd have your opponent give you a con, and then use that to take all your mech spots and stuff. Send your commander to the middle to defend, and then, you can just build bombers, air cons, and then whatever you want to do after that. But it does require some teamwork to go air first, but on a map like this is perfect for it. So it does surprise me that it took so long to go air, because the distances between the bases are tiny. So having a few bombers, I mean, we've already seen how good those could be on huge maps. Dominator's really good in this kind of situation. Of course, he's only got one, and it's about to implode. But yeah, right now, Walker has the best composition by far. I mean, the Mortys and the cans, name a better match. Name a better combo than that. More iconic duo. Mortys and cans. And Tasto, he is putting up defense. He's built one immolator and now working on a toaster, but will it be too late? I mean, this toaster, it's going to take a while to build with just one construction K-bot. And Walker may not realize just how thin the defense is here. Like, if Walker knew how little resistance there was, he might be a little more aggressive. He is finally pushing through. He did ask his teammate to build peepers, and Green does need to get some vision on what's happening here. If Green can get a scout, not there, but through the middle even. You could send it through the middle and mark. Okay, so Walker has marked these. He's got an idea of what he's facing. This could be a game-ending push. It's pretty close right now. The immolator is a problem for sure. Yeah, Walker will need to target the immolator, but the immolators do have a mechanic where they will sort of retreat into their shell like a turtle, and that gives them so much more health. So Walker has to additionally try to keep the immolator open so you can get full damage on this target. Doing a good job. The immolator will go down. The toaster only about halfway done. The Western team in a spot of trouble here. Do they have enough to stop this? It feels like it's so close. But man, all these Mortys and Fidos, truly terrifying in this kind of situation. Just raining artillery death on your opponent. This is exactly how to abuse a map like this, where it's just sort of a trench warfare style situation. Gotta just build all this artillery, and now the Western team looking very dead. I mean, this situation is terrible. The Eastern team has broken through. All the defenses are gone. And Mortys galore, Fidos, and Tossers, and even Zeus's, or one Zeus. And usually this is when people start leaving the game, because, I mean, once they breach the Helm's Deep wall, it feels a bit hopeless. The opponents can just keep streaming through with endless waves of units. And, it becomes difficult to stop the bleeding, and certainly, I think, bleeding is exactly what is going to be happening for the Western team. But oh, what the heck? Walker retreating for some strange reason. This is not the play. I mean, I think Walker could probably just win the game here if he wanted. But maybe giving the Western team some grace here, maybe giving them an opportunity. who knows what Walker's thinking. This is a bit shocking for me as a caster because I feel like he had him in a death grip. But he's now upgraded his advanced K-Bot lab and pumping out sumos. And of course the triple barrel sumos and escalation special, these are just the most beastliest of T2 unit. It's basically like an early T3 unit, or T2.5 as some people like to call it. They're so slow, but once they finally get to the front line, they're so deadly. I mean, they have a billion health, the triple laser, and of course a massive range as well. I mean, they're just a great combination of firepower, tankiness, and you know, death on legs, essentially. But the Western team, they have been given permission to live for now. Even though I think Walker probably could have just won with what he had. But in true TRP style, not content to just let the game end that way. So it will continue here. Let's see what there is to talk about on the player bases. Pink is going into advanced air, and that could be consequential if Pink can get there. I mean, obviously, getting there is the difficult part. I don't think Pink has quite enough energy. He only has a few resource generators, but you would want a fusion like Walker has. I mean, Walker still doesn't have enough energy, but he's working on a second fusion. So yeah, advanced aircraft tech is very energy expensive. And the map, the wind on the map is terrible. So spamming wind generator is not really an option. Yeah. But I do think if anything's going to save the Western team, it's going to have to be this advanced aircraft plant. It is now finished. We'll start pumping out gunships right away. But once again, all these studs, all this T1 is just gonna be fodder for the Morty spam. And eventually the sumos, once they can get to the front line. Guys, the difficult thing about Total Annihilation, it's an old game. It was made in 1997. The pathing, it's not great. It's not like the newer RTSs where your units will, you know, they'll automatically create a formation and move in formation. Like I'm thinking like Age of Empires 4 or oh shoot, what are some of the new in bar you can do that. In bar you can create a kind of a formation and have your units move in a formation. You know, typically you would want the sumos to be at the front. Oh, I was thinking Supreme Commander 2. In Supreme Commander 2, you know, your units will create a nice formation where the experimentals are in the front, the big units are in the front, the artillery's in the back, and it all moves in a cohesive unit. But you know, back in the 90s, we didn't have this tech. We did not have these fancy advances in technology. So the units just move at their own speed. They that often means that the tanks get stuck in the back. The frontline units are in the back. The backline units are in the front. Everything's just getting caught on each other. Double barrel pyros, of course, you love to see it. I don't know what that marker was about. Someone said don't. So I'm not sure. I'll see if I can find that. It seemed like maybe Walker was getting a little perturbed. Okay, Tasto starting to build up the gunship armada as we described. But finally the Eastern team pushing through again. And once again, I don't know how the Western team stops this. It would help a little bit if the sumos were in front. Having the Mortys in front is not ideal. The sumos are so hard to kill on T2. This would be such a great opportunity to get them into the thick of it and get the Mortys behind. Green moving through with armies of Zeuses and spiders, and yellow looking a bit dead here. He's going to need a good D-gun, I think, to save him. This, half-finished immolator, unlikely to really make much of a difference. He does finish it in time, but in time for what? His base is getting eviscerated. The immolator no longer in range of Green's army. Meanwhile, Walker's still pushing through here in the middle. And yeah, this is looking terrible. It's looking terrible for the Western team. The only true contingency plan they have are those rapiers. Can the gunships save them, as they've saved players in so many casts before? Right now, green, yellow's commander not in the right position. He needs to be here D-gunning everything, saving his base, but unfortunately, it's not going to happen. He loses almost everything. Green now targeting the lab. I don't know if he'll get it in time, though. There are a few Mortys trying to finish the Zeuses off. And the advanced K-Bot lab getting low. Green kiting. Oh, man, it's going to be close, but I think yellow will just save this advanced K-Bot lab. Just barely. These Mortys are not as accurate against moving targets, but somehow, some way, the advanced K-Bot lab survives, and most of Walker's army gone. Now, the reason that most of Walker's army is gone is because the sumos were in the back. I think if Walker had put his sumos in the front, he would have already killed most of Pink's base, but having all of his Mortys in the front, tanking the toaster shots and the immolators and all the units, I mean, that's sumos in the end. I won't say they were useless, but they were basically useless. But the issue is the damage has been done. Most of yellow's base already gone. The advanced K-Bot lab does survive, but his eco is in shambles. It doesn't look like he's only got 2 Moho extractors to his name and a single mechs, but he's gonna be struggling to get back into this after that catastrophic raid. But still, Pink, Mr. Tasto, he's been massing the gunship army, and we've seen it win games in the past. We've seen people come back from worse situations than this. The well-timed gunship, push. Let's go ahead and look at the air defenses. And here we have 1 flacker for green, but 1 flacker it just really isn't enough. You need 2 flackers is ideal, so that way if the opponent targets 1 flak, the other one can kill the gunships. But the thing is, Tasto could just target this flacker right away, kill that, and then go straight on Green's commander. Or he might just be able to ignore the flacker and go straight for the commander. But either way, you want at least 2 of these in the area. Now, we do have roving patrols of Avengers from Walker. And let's look at Walker's air defense. Walker now going to T3, but I don't see any flaks at all for Walker, so... Oh, yeah, here we go. He's got 2 of them. So, see, Walker understands. You got to have at least 2. There's the third one. 3 is perfect. Like, if you have 3 flaks, almost nothing on T2 is going to be able to kill your commander in time. That's just too much DPS. Of course, Walker's commander is a little south. It's a little bit south of these flaks. But it wouldn't take him too long to walk into range, I think, from here. His name is Walker, after all. That's what he's known for. So, yeah. Again, the Eastern team definitely in a better position, but I feel like they've sort of thrown away multiple opportunities to just win the game. Walker especially, with if he had just put his sumos in the front. Now all of his Mortys are dead. It doesn't look like he's building any more Mortys. Instead, he's going for the double-barrel Pyrotech. Now, that can work. Most of these defenses have been cleared out, so if Walker just sends the Pyros down into Yellow's base and hits where the enemy team is weakest, yeah, that can definitely be a game-ending maneuver there, at least for Yellow. But unfortunately, Pink is a lot more defended. We have Toaster here, an Immolator. We have a Gat. We have Pink going to T2 vehicles. That's a little surprising. I'm not sure what T2 vehicles are going to do to help Tasto here for core. And Goliaths are certainly tanky. He could build those, but I think Walker going to T3, that's the right idea in this situation. Especially core T3. On a map like this, I love to build the arbitrators. The T3 mobile tactical nuke launchers. It's just so effective. On a map like this with the choke points, you can just hit mass swaths of units with those unblockable mini nukes. But yeah, I think Walker, he's got the right idea. I'd like to see him investing a little more into this than just the one con that's building it. But of course, Walker is trying to upgrade his eco. He's now working on his 4th fusion. So going to T3 is extremely expensive in terms of energy. So if you don't have enough energy, it's not even really worth trying, because you won't be able to build anything once you get there. So Walker just trying to get his eco to where it needs to be. But the problem is that in this kind of period of transition, his army is really suffering. He doesn't have much. These few sumos that he built a long time ago, 7 kills, 5 kills, and 8 kills. And, Walker probably just could have ended the game on sumos if he wanted, but deciding to draw it out, deciding to go to T3, and he might regret that, because he's given the Western team an opportunity to regroup and rebuild, and they may come back with a vengeance. As the game progresses into the later stages, it becomes harder and harder to predict what your opponents are going to do, because there's so many different options. I mean, I, as a caster, never would have predicted that Tasto would go into T2 vehicles, but Diplomats kind of makes sense. The problem is that Diplomats they're best against stationary targets, and the Eastern team doesn't really have any defenses at all. They do have a neutralizer. We do have this tactical nuke launcher here. So that could be a good target, but they don't even know this exists, probably. So Diplomats, it's an okay idea if there was static defense, but there's really not. Yeah, like I said, I'm a bit surprised they would even go for that. That Pink would even go for T2 vehicles at all on a map like this. It's a bit shocking. And Yellow doubling down on the the advanced K-Bot lab. But the Eastern team doing yet another push, but once again, Walker's got the sumos too far behind. This is becoming harder and harder to break through as time passes. The Toasters and the Mortys. Now Diplomats as well. This is a very half-hearted push anyway. Walker's heart definitely not into it. He's been investing most of his resources getting to T3. So he's not, doesn't seem like he's interested in finishing the game. Tasto now with a respectable army, a respectable sized, air force of gunships. And I think I missed it. But Walker did tactical nuke this whole area, killing most of the units. The problem is that even after tactical nuking it, he doesn't have enough of a follow-up to really do much with it. So aside from just being annoying, Walker's tactical nuke. It would be great if Walker had, kept pumping out sumos. If he had imagine if he had 15 or 20 sumos here after that tactical nuke. And but instead, they will be pushed back. The Western team still very much in this game. There were definitely parts that I felt like they could have lost. But now it's much more even. Pink begging his ally to return, but Yellow is content to just throw his whole army away. And that he will do as the Cans and Mortys sent to the front. They will evaporate, cease to exist. And now it's mostly just Pink defending, since Yellow threw away most of his army. Yeah, then he says in the chat, you just wasted your whole army. WTF was that? WTF indeed. I'm not really sure. Guys, it's a strategy game. You got to use strategy. You can't just mindlessly throw your units at the enemy. Yeah, I think if I was Pink, I'd be a little frustrated too. Oh, what's going on here? My bad. But yeah, look, Pink still has that gunship army that he's been slowly building up now, it feels like, for most of the game. And can it be enough, though? Walker has the Avengers down here. He's kind of expecting this. But Green only with the one flak. His commander is still vulnerable. If Pink can find this opening, he's got to be able to see it. He's got to get a scout through to see where Green's commander is. But if he can get that, okay, a big Bertha. I was going to talk about this, the possibility of building the long-range plasma cannons. It's not bad on this map. It's not. I mean, obviously it's going to hit the walls, but you can just pelt your opponent's units and defenses with near impunity through the middle there. So, Intimidators and Berthas don't have to be used offensively. They can also be used just to kind of defend an area or to harass your opponent's army. The Dominator count starting to build here, and it feels like the Eastern team floundering a little bit. Walker finally on T3, and he is building some Hurricanes, but Walker could have finished the game on T2 easily if he had just committed to the sumo spam. But now, yeah, the Eastern team is like, they don't have much of an army at all. It seems like they're investing most of their resources on just teching up. Or just upgrading their eco. Guys, that is always an interesting question or an interesting decision to make as a player. There are moments in the game where you do want to upgrade your eco and upgrade your tech, going to T2 or going to T3, building fusions, building moho mines or mantle extractors or metal converters, moho metal makers. That's all very relevant, but the problem is one thing that lesser experienced players often do is they'll stop building an army. Basically Pink has completely stopped building any military at all. He is just purely focused on upgrading his eco. And that's sort of a no-no. I mean, a sign of a good player is you want to be able to upgrade your eco and tech while also maintaining and fielding an army and keeping the pressure on your opponent. And the best players I cast, like Race and EXE and Herald and Rock, they do that, right? Lemminkainen is really good at it as well. All these players, you can't even really tell that they're upgrading their eco because they have so many units that are still coming at you. It feels impossible to defend against because not only are they overwhelming you with sheer firepower, but behind all that, they're still upgrading their economy and their base. So you've got to find a way to keep the pressure on while upgrading your base in the background. Heard an explosion there, but oh, it's probably another tactical nuke. So guys, I apologize for missing these tactical nukes. I do know Walker's launching them, but now the Eastern team is in a bit of trouble. I think Walker finally going to bring his advanced bombers into the fray here. Bring him through the middle. Taking out a decent chunk of units on the way. And now will Pink have enough to stop this? He's got some flackers. Nice use of air defense here. And most of those bombers, I think, it was a decent attack. He got a few mexes, but ultimately nothing too crippling. And now it's going to take Walker a while to rebuild that. So it does seem like it will push the attack back, though. It does enough damage to force the Western team to retreat. And Pink's still waiting in the wings here, looking for an opportunity. Again, Green only has that one flacker. If he can find his commander. Where is... Oh, yeah, there's Green's commander right there. So if he can get Green's commander, he's just not that well defended. He's got to find him, though. That's the thing. He has enough to kill him, but he has to see that. He's built his own neutralizer. Ooh, I like this. This tactical nuke could be used to take out all the defenders here. If he shoots right here and kills all those defenders, that creates a perfect opening to go on Green's commander. So I like this. I think Pink has the right idea here. I like what he's doing. I like the ingenuity. Upgrading the advanced vehicle plant. Sending more scouts. Pink looking for the opening. Looking for the avenue of approach. I don't think he realizes the avenue of approach is just straight east of him. Straight into Green's commander. But again, this map does tend to get very contested in the middle. Obviously, that's kind of how it's designed, so it's not that surprising. Ooh, what? Oh my god! Oh, I think this Intimidator is actually in range of the T3 plant? Holy cow, I can't believe it! Look at the range! This is unbelievable. Taisto has found the Ultra K-Bot gantry, and he has trained his long-range plasma cannon on it immediately, wasting no time at all. He's like, this thing has to die. The Juggernaut only halfway finished, and Walker doing everything in his power to stop this plant from just going the way of the dodo bird. That would just be horrible for Walker. Throwing up an advanced metal storage just as a wall. Try and keep this plant alive. Unfortunately, he's got enough advanced construction K-bots. I don't think one Intimidator can do it. Taisto says he accidentally sent all his cons to die. And, but he still has this gunship push. He could still do it. He's just got to be able to see it. He's got to be able to send some scouts over, find Green's commander, and send those gunstrips straight at Green to finish the game and make it a 2v1. But will he see it? Guys, it's so tough. Total Annihilation is not like the newer versions of TA where, like, once you send a scout over, the game remembers where all the units were, so you get like ghost outlines of all the structures and sometimes units. Like, you have to mark everything and try to, like, you have to have good visual memory, because once your scout dies, you don't see anything anymore. The map just becomes completely dark. So I like Tasta's idea, but I don't. He's just not getting the scouting he needs to make it work. I don't think he knows about this. How vulnerable green is. And now this juggernaut almost finished. This juggernaut could basically win the game on its own. This juggernaut could single-handedly, I think, kill the Western team. Of course, it will take forever to get there. The juggernaut is even slower than the sumo, but maybe it's about as slow as the sumo. It's slow either way. But the map isn't that huge, so it won't take that long, relatively, once it's finished. And the juggernaut is just harbinger of death. I mean, if you haven't seen one of my casts, prepare to be amazed, because this thing is just unreal. Finally, Tasto building Goliath, but I feel like that's a little too late. He needed Goliath maybe 20 minutes ago. You know, Goliath, there was definitely a point in the game where they could have been useful, but I think we're way past that point. You know, even going T2 vehicle was a bit of a strange decision from my perspective. Maybe if they were winning and the opponent had all these defenses, you know, that's when diplomats can be good. But they're not really good against mobile armies of units, and if he was going to go T2 vehicles, he needed to just pump out Goliath as like a front line for all these Mortys. But yeah, just a bit of a strange decision there. Now, green with all the diplomats. And Pink's still slowly building up this gunship army, but never really getting to the point where he's ready to use it. Or can use it, you know, without finding a proper target. And yeah, in the meantime, I'm not sure how much there is to talk about. I mean, this Intimidator was great, but if he had just gotten like a second one, I think 20 kills on it already, but if he just gotten 2 of these, he could probably have taken out the Ultra K-Bot Gantry just in time. But now the Juggernaut on the field, it's sort of difficult to explain what the Juggernaut does, but it's got this arm cannon that it shoots a massive AoE blast that can just kill tightly clumped groups of T1 units in one blow. And then it's got a head laser that's basically like an annihilator. So it's essentially a walking sort of annihilator slash Bertha combo. Doesn't have the range of a Bertha, but it has 1 billion health. And the thing that makes it so fearsome is that it's good against both huge groups of small units and large units because of its head cannon. So it's just kind of good against everything on the ground. And it's so oppressive because it has 1 billion health. It's hard to kill. So if Walker can get this to the front and really have all these supporting units behind it, especially the Mortys, you could probably just end the game there. Each one of these shots, look at the AoE there. But once again, Walker is sending forward all of his supporting units, all of his weak kind of chaff and anti-air and the Mortys, and those just go in first to die. And he's just kind of moving all of his units together. He really needs to put this juggernaut on its own key binding and send that in first. And then have the Mortys behind. Yeah. There's a juggernaut shot right there. Each hit is so devastating. But man, yellow really does have an impressively sized army though. And I want to keep an eye on the mega map so we don't miss anything too crucial. But man, yeah, that juggernaut could have been game ending, I think. If you would just put it in the front and then keep everything else behind it. Guys, you just don't want to send all your units in a big clump like that and just let them move at their own speed. Again, Total Annihilation does not have the technology that puts your units into formation automatically. Some of the newer games. That was a nice shot. So you've got to go through the trouble of doing it yourself. You know, get the juggernaut in the front, get the sumos in the front, keep all the chaff where it's meant to be. Get the Mortys behind, get the artillery. Yellow's doing a better job of it, right? Like look at Yellow's position here. The sumos are in the front, the cans are in the front, the Mortys are behind. This looks much better. Like look at this composition. Look how well this is working. The sumos are tanking the damage. The Mortys are dealing the damage. It's a match made in heaven. It's beautiful. Really good positioning by yellow there. That's how you want to do it. But now, we still have this juggernaut though. It's basically full health. The sumos can eventually kill it, but it's going to take several lifetimes. And there's still the tactical nuke. Oh no, the tactical nuke was killed at some point, so forget that. But I want to keep an eye on green's base. Pink could still use his gunships in conjunction with the tactical nuke that he has here to create an opening into green's production. Maybe even kill his commander. Yellow losing most of his army now. This juggernaut is it's a force to be reckoned with. Like each shot is just going to take out clumps of units. Look at that. All of those pyros going up in one fell swoop. But still, yellow has managed to push Walker back, and that's surprising given that Walker is on T3. And what the hell has Pink been doing? Like, I haven't even seen Pink participating in the game for a while now. He hasn't really been building units, so he's built a few. But now it's just a one-man show. Yellow is sort of doing everything, and I wish Pink would help his teammates somehow. Because if Pink had pushed with Yellow, like just imagine if Pink had an army as big as Yellow's. They were pushing together here. They might even be able to win the game. It's a little depressing to see this, but finally, it seems like Pink is ready to send these gunships in after all this time. It's, nope. He's changed his mind. That's so depressing, man. These gunships could have won the game, I think. Or at least made it a lot closer. But Pink has just been unable or unwilling to use them. I don't think has had the scouting information he needs, but it's kind of frustrating to see that Pink invested so much into these gunships and then has not used them at all this game. Walker, you know, he had that hurricane run earlier, but ultimately nothing came of that. I mean, he was at least able to get some of the army in the middle, and then he got a few mexes. But these gunships have done literally nothing. Oh, here we go. Finally, Pink ready. Sending in the tactical nuke. He'll get some eco there, and he'll get some damage done on the labs. And there's Green's commander. There he is. There he is. Oh my god. There's Green's commander. Oh, does he know? I don't think he knows. If only he could see this. If he could see Green's commander. He just took out the flak, okay? Send some more scouts. Please, Tasto. Find him. Please find him. Will he find Green's commander? Will he see it in time? He's got to be watching. He's got to be paying attention here. Oh! He just marked him. He marked him, so Pink knows. Pink knows. There's the calm. He sees him. He's taken out the flak. Most of the air defense is gone. This is the moment. This is the shining golden opportunity. This is the moment that Eminem talks about. Your one shot. Don't miss it. Your one opportunity to claim everything you ever wanted. Oh my god. Beautiful by Tasto. Very well executed. It took him a while, but he got there. And now it's a 2v1. Holy cow, that game went from looking almost... Walker's saying noob abuse. Well, that's pretty rich, Walker. That's pretty rich. Yeah, I mean, look. Walker had many opportunities to finish the game. He was trolling. He definitely, if he had just positioned his units a little better, I think could have finished it. If he had just stayed on sumos, he could have finished it. Sending in his fighters, but I think this is Walker just giving up. As once the game becomes 2v1, it's much harder to win, obviously. You know, Walker shouldn't give up, because he is the only player on T3 here. And this juggernaut, 122 kills on this monster. I mean, this thing is just single-handedly keeping Walker in the game. It's just a one mech army, and he could easily repair this, send it back in there. I mean, the Western team really doesn't have that much. They truly, I mean, they're spamming out T2 units, but Walker's on T3. All he's got to do is repair this juggernaut. He's got the Intimidator still there. He's got a tactical nuke defense. The LRPC is targeting this. Oh, I guess there's a second one. So yeah, the Berthas are definitely a problem, but if Walker were to just start building some advanced construction aircraft, he could easily repair most of the damage these are doing. At least for now. Obviously, they could build more. Right now, they've got this Intimidator. It looked like they had another one somewhere. Definitely more than just one Intimidator at work here. Yeah, there's a second one somewhere. But yeah, now they're targeting Walker's Eco, trying to get the fusions, or maybe they're targeting the gantry, but yeah, Walker could survive this. He just needs enough production power. Where is that second cannon? I bet everyone watching this sees it. They're like, wow, what a noob caster. You can't find the Intimidator. Come on, it's a huge weapon. How do you not see it? No, I can't find it. But either way, there's definitely two of them, I think. There it is. So there's one here and one here. This one's pretty low. You might want to repair this. This is 26 kills on that one. Yeah, he's firing back, so we've got a bit of an artillery war here. As Walker attempting to retaliate. And this juggernaut now in trouble. Getting overwhelmed. Getting surrounded by pyros now. This beastly monster that has just caused so much heartache for the Western team now being gunned down unceremoniously. Look how much health it has. They have to absolutely surround it. And with that, I think Walker will tap out. So guys, what an amazing game.
Walker blaming his teammate, and his teammate didn't play perfectly. Like I'll give it that. Like I'll give Walker that. His teammate didn't play the perfect game, but Walker made a lot of mistakes too. Not like Walker was so far ahead at certain points. His positioning obviously could have been a lot better, but also if you just pushed on T2, they had more than enough to just end the game multiple times. But still, you have to give it to the Western team. They played better as a team, right? Like, there's no denying that. Pink with that wonderful gunship snipe at the end, the comm snipe, and then Yellow had a massive army. And not only did Yellow have a massive army of sumos and and Mortys, but he positioned them correctly. So the sumos were in the front, the Mortys were in the back. So guys, thank you very much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next cast.